I'm Erica, 28. Standing on the stage of the charity gala, with Lily beaming beside me and Mr. Thompson looking on with pride, I can't help but cast my mind back to the darkest days of my life. The journey from despair to this moment of triumph has been long and arduous, filled with betrayal, hardship, and ultimately, hope. It was a stormy night under a desolate highway bridge. The rain lashed down, and the wind howled through the underpass. I huddled there, clutching Lily tightly against my chest, her tiny body shivering. Our meager belongings were strewn around us, a faded blanket and a tattered stuffed bunny, the only remnants of our former life. I listened to her weak cries, my heart breaking with each sob. I thought this was the end, that we were doomed to a life of homelessness and suffering. Then, through the sheets of rain, I saw a figure approaching. A tall man in a black suit, carrying a large umbrella. His polished shoes splashed through the puddles as he walked purposefully towards us. My heart raced. Strangers could mean danger, especially in a place like this. I pulled Lily closer, shielding her with my body. He stopped a few feet away and lowered his umbrella. His face was lined with age, and his silver hair was plastered slightly by the rain. But his sharp blue eyes pierced through the darkness. "Erica," he said, his voice steady and warm. "I finally found you." I froze. "My name?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "Who are you?" He stepped closer, his gaze softening as it fell on Lily. "My name is Mr. Thompson. I'm your grandfather." The words crashed over me like thunder. I shook my head in disbelief. "No, that's not possible. My father told me you died years ago." Mr. Thompson's lips curved into a sad smile. "That's what he wanted you to believe. But I'm very much alive, and I've been looking for you for a long time." I tightened my hold on Lily, suspicion boiling with confusion. "If you're really my grandfather, then where have you been? Why now, when we're at our lowest?" He crouched down so he was eye level with me, the rain dripping from his umbrella onto the concrete. "Your father, my son, betrayed me, Erica," he said quietly. "He stole everything I had. He spread lies that I was gone, buried me with his silence. But I never stopped searching for you. When I heard what happened, your husband leaving, your parents casting you out, I knew I couldn't waste another day." I looked into his eyes, searching for deceit. But all I saw were lines of regret and a resemblance I couldn't ignore, the same piercing blue eyes my father had, only softer, kinder. The storm raged on around us, but in that moment, I felt a glimmer of hope. It all started when I was a young wife and a new mother. My husband, Tom, worked long shifts at a small auto repair shop in the city. We weren't wealthy, but we had enough to get by. I stayed home with Lily, trying to stretch every dollar for rent, groceries, and diapers. I thought we were a team, facing the struggles of life together. But slowly, I noticed the changes. Tom began coming home later, his phone always buzzing. His smile faded when he looked at me. One evening, after a long day of taking care of Lily, I asked him, "Are we okay, Tom?" He barely looked up from his phone. "Yeah, fine." But his eyes told a different story, distant, distracted, guilty. I ignored the warning signs for weeks, convincing myself it was just stress. But then, one night, I found a message on his phone from a woman I didn't know. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Don't let her suspect." My stomach dropped. My hands shook so hard that the phone slipped from my fingers and clattered on the floor. When Tom walked into the room, his face turned pale. "Who is she?" I whispered, my voice breaking. He sighed, almost annoyed. "Erica, I can't do this anymore. I don't love you the way I used to. I've met someone else." Those words cut through me like a knife. I looked over at Lily sleeping in her crib, and I thought, how could he do this? How could he abandon her before she even knows what a father is? I begged him to stay for Lily's sake, but his suitcase was already by the door. He kissed Lily on the forehead and walked out without looking back. The following days were a blur. I tried to manage on my own, working part-time as a barista at a local coffee shop. But the rent was high, and the bills piled up. I skipped meals to make sure Lily had enough to eat. When I couldn't pay the rent anymore, the landlord started leaving notices on the door. "Pay or vacate," the bold letters screamed. Desperate, I called my parents. "Mom, Dad, can Lily and I stay with you for a while? just until I get back on my feet." There was a long silence on the other end. Then my mother, Helen, finally sighed. "You can come, but don't expect this to be permanent." It wasn't the warmth and love I had hoped for, but it was a roof over our heads. I packed what little we had left into 2 bags and left the apartment that once held my dreams of a family. The drive back to my parents' house in the suburbs felt endless. I sat on the bus with Lily nestled in my arms, her tiny hand gripping my sweater. I stared out the window at the gray skies, wondering if I had failed as a wife and a mother. When we arrived, my mother opened the door. She didn't rush to hug me or even look at Lily. Instead, she glanced at the bags in my hands and muttered, "Bring your things upstairs. Your old room is full of storage. You'll need to clean it." My father, Carl, sat in his armchair watching TV. He barely turned his head when I walked in. "Make sure Lily doesn't cry too much. I need my sleep." I bit my lip and nodded. For Lily's sake, I swallowed my pride. The room I grew up in had changed. Boxes of old clothes, broken toys, and forgotten junk were piled against the walls. Dust coated the shelves, and the bed sagged in the middle. It didn't feel like home anymore. I tried to stay out of the way, helping around the house, cooking dinner, and taking care of Lily quietly. But it was never enough. "Look at your sister, Lisa," my mother said one night at the dinner table. "She has a good job, a husband, and a nice house. Why couldn't you be more like her?" I stared at my plate of pasta, twisting the noodles without answering. "Lisa always made smart choices," my father added. "You, Erica, have been nothing but trouble since you got married. And now, bringing another mouth to feed into this house." He nodded towards Lily, who was sitting in a high chair beside me, happily babbling to herself. I felt the sting of tears, but I forced a smile for Lily's sake. To contribute, I found a part-time job at a nearby diner, waiting tables during the day. Every dollar I made went towards baby supplies and giving my parents a share for letting us stay. But things only got worse. One evening when I rushed home after my shift, Lily had a fever. I panicked, holding her in my arms and begging my mother for help. She barely looked up from the TV. "You need to learn responsibility, Erica. We raised our kids already. Lily's yours." Her words sliced through me. I wanted to scream that Lily was their granddaughter too, but the fight drained out of me. I rocked Lily through the night, whispering, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. We'll get through this. I promise." As the weeks passed, the tension in the house grew heavier. Lily was growing, starting to crawl and babble more. But instead of celebrating her milestones, my parents treated every sound like an annoyance. One night, I overheard my parents talking in the living room. "We can't keep this up, Helen," my father said. "Erica and the baby are taking up space. Lisa and her family visit every weekend, and the kids need a room to stay in." "I know," my mother replied. "It's not fair to Lisa that her children have to sleep on the couch when Erica's sitting in that old room. She's an adult. She should be standing on her own by now." My heart pounded. I pressed my back against the wall, clutching a baby bottle I had been heating up. Then my father's voice cut through the air like a knife. "We'll give her 2 weeks. After that, she has to go." The bottle slipped from my hands and clattered onto the floor. My parents looked up, startled, but I didn't wait to hear more. I scooped up Lily and ran to my room, tears blinding my eyes. 2 weeks later, with nowhere else to go, we were pushed out of the house. My father didn't even come to the door. My mother just said, "Good luck, Erica," her voice flat as if she were speaking to a stranger. We ended up in a run-down boarding house on the outskirts of the city. The landlord, a gruff man named Mr. Jenkins, eyed me suspiciously. "Cash up front. No noise, no trouble." I handed over the last of my tips from the diner, praying it would buy us time. The room smelled of mildew, and the walls were stained with watermarks. But it had a door that locked and a mattress. For Lily, that was enough. But soon, I lost my job at the diner because I couldn't find anyone to take care of Lily. Without a job, we couldn't pay the rent. The landlord evicted us, and we found ourselves on the streets in the pouring rain. That's when Mr. Thompson found us. After that fateful night under the bridge, I decided to trust Mr. Thompson. With trembling arms, I gathered our meager belongings and followed him to his sleek black car. The car ride was like a dream. Warm air hummed through the vents, and the soft leather seats were a far cry from the damp concrete we had left behind. Lily nestled into the infant seat and drifted into a peaceful sleep. Hours later, we pulled up to a sprawling estate just outside Tampa. It was like something out of a magazine: cream, colored walls, red, tiled roofs, and tall palm trees swaying in the breeze. Mr. Thompson smiled gently. "This is our home now. Come inside." The moment we entered, the scent of fresh flowers and polished wood enveloped us. A grand chandelier sparkled overhead, casting warm light across the marble floors. Two staff members, a kind-looking woman named Mrs. Harris and a young man named Jake, greeted us warmly. "This is Mrs. Harris, the housekeeper, and Jake, our chef," Mr. Thompson said. "They'll take care of you, as if you were their own." I nodded stiffly, overwhelmed. I wasn't used to being welcomed anywhere, let alone a place like this. Mr. Thompson led us upstairs to a large guest room. The bed was king-sized with crisp linens, and beside it stood a crib filled with soft blankets and brand new toys. I lowered Lily into the crib, and for the first time since her birth, she smiled in her sleep. I pressed a hand to my mouth, tears spilling silently down my cheeks. "You don't need to cry anymore, Erica," Mr. Thompson said softly behind me. "You're safe now." The next morning, a doctor, Dr. Green, arrived to examine Lily. He said she had a mild cold but would recover quickly now that she was warm and well, cared for. Then he turned to me. "You, however, are exhausted, malnourished, and under tremendous stress. You need rest, Erica. Real rest." Over the next few days, I started to relax. Every morning, I woke to the sound of birds in the garden. Mrs. Harris helped me wash Lily's clothes, and Jake made delicious breakfasts with fresh fruit and warm bread. Mr. Thompson spent his mornings on the balcony, sipping coffee. One day, he invited me to join him. "Tell me about yourself, Erica. Tell me everything you've endured. I want to know." And for the first time, I opened up. I told him about Tom's betrayal, my parents' cruelty, the sleepless nights under the bridge, the hunger and shame. He listened without interruption, his eyes glistening with sorrow. When I finished, he reached across the table and placed his weathered hand over mine. "You've suffered enough. From now on, you will not walk alone. I promise you that." When Mr. Thompson first suggested I join his real estate company, I almost laughed. Me, a single mother who had been homeless just a few months ago, with no degree and no self-confidence. But he insisted gently. "Erica, you know about life. You've survived storms no classroom could teach. That kind of strength is what people trust." So I tried. On my first day at Thompson Real Estate, I wore the simple navy suit Mr. Thompson had bought me. Walking into the glass building downtown felt surreal. The lobby gleamed with marble floors, and employees hurried past in tailored clothes, speaking in quick, confident voices. At first, I struggled. I stumbled through phone calls, mixing up terms like escrow and appraisal. I was nervous around clients, my voice shaking as I presented listings. But then I'd look at Lily, asleep in her crib at home, and I'd remember the bridge, the rain, and the hunger in her eyes. I'd whisper to myself, "I can't go back there. I won't." Slowly, I improved. A kind colleague named Amy took me under her wing, teaching me how to listen to clients' needs instead of just selling properties. "Be genuine, Erica. People buy homes because they want to feel safe. You know what that means more than anyone." She was right. My honesty became my strength. Instead of slick pitches, I spoke plainly, sharing why certain houses felt like true homes. Clients began trusting me. Some even requested me personally. After 6 months, I closed my first sale, a cozy cottage for a young couple. When they signed the papers, I cried quietly in the bathroom, overwhelmed with pride. Years passed and my confidence grew. I learned contracts, negotiations, and team leadership. Amy once told me, "Erica, you're a natural. You've turned your scars into wisdom." By the time Lily turned 4, I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving. Mr. Thompson watched silently from the sidelines, pride glowing in his eyes as I climbed the ranks. Eventually, the board voted me CEO. But the past has a way of resurfacing. One afternoon, Amy buzzed my office line. "Erica, there are 2 people in the lobby claiming to be your parents. They insist on seeing you." My chest tightened. I hadn't spoken to them since the night they cast us out. Memories of cold words and slammed doors returned like knives. I told Amy, "Keep them waiting. I'll come down." The lobby sparkled with glass and light, a world away from the dingy house I'd once begged to stay in. And there they were, my parents. My mother in a faded coat, her eyes darting around as if appraising the wealth around her. My father in an outdated suit, his smile awkward. "Erica, honey," my mother said, her voice syrupy. "We saw you on TV. You've done so well. We're so proud." Proud? I almost laughed. My father stepped forward. "We should reconnect. We could help you manage all the success. Families should stick together, right?" The word family made my stomach turn. I thought of the nights Lily and I froze under a tarp while they kept warm for Lisa's children. Help? Like how you helped me when you threw us out. Like when I begged, and you shut the door? I said, my voice calm but icy. Their smiles faltered. My mother stammered, "Those were hard times, Erica. You can't hold it against us forever." But before I could answer, footsteps echoed behind me. Mr. Thompson entered the lobby, tall in a sharp suit, his presence commanding the room. My parents froze. My father's face drained of color. "Mr. Thompson. Dad, you're alive." Mr. Thompson's eyes hardened. "Alive?" "Yes. And watching. I saw what you did to Erica. To Lily, just as you once betrayed me." Employees in the lobby stopped to watch, whispers spreading. Mr. Thompson didn't lower his voice. "You stole from me years ago, Carl. You abandoned your mother, and she died with a broken heart. You abandoned Erica and her child, repeating the same cruelty. And now you dare show your face here." My father stuttered. I can't explain." "No." I cut in, my voice steady. "There's nothing left to explain. The day you cast Lily and me into the street, I lost my parents. I have a family now, but it's not you." The lobby was silent. Every employee was bearing witness. My parents shrank back, shame coloring their faces. They left without another word. I stood tall, looking at Lily's photo on my office desk. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. As I stand here on the stage, looking out at the crowd, I know that life may knock you down, but you decide whether to stand up. I stood up for Lily, and together, we've built a new life. Family isn't always blood. It's love, responsibility, and the people who stand with you when the world turns away. And I know with absolute certainty that no matter what storms lie ahead, Lily and I will never face them alone.